It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Phantomist.
I've told some of my friends about the podcast, and one of them had a question. Ian, what is something in the Sonic series that you wouldn't want to make canon? You've been partially known to mine and find potential in just about anything, so my friend and I are curious as to where you draw the line. Ships? Certain relationships, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, if you lock something in, then there's a new narrative thread to follow. But then it becomes a question of, would that just make more obnoxious feedback, or would it quiet some of it down? I don't know. But something you wouldn't want to make canon. Just trying to think of stuff that's like on the fringe, like one-off material or...
I mean, you even talked about making the old manga elements from that, at least bringing that into
I wouldn't mind
story,
reworking a little bit to fit into what works today. I don't know. Here's my disease. I see potential in just about everything. Like, even if it's the absolute fringe, craziest, what were they thinking? How did this get approved? It's like, well, what if you reworked it a little bit this way? Like, here's the core idea. What if we did it this way instead to make it fit a little better? And I have a hard time just putting things down. So I don't know. It's without like an express example, I can't immediately think of anything that I would say, nope, drop it. Don't touch it.
I have an example.
All right.
Duh, Bears.
Well, copyright infringement of Saturday Night Live. Yeah, sure. Add that to the list. Okay, maybe this one. I'm not fond of photorealistic humans in Sonic. I'm not opposed to humans.
It's happened though, so it's already canon. I'm sorry.
I know, but we don't have to go back there. Like when Elise showed up in the Isekai Japanese material, she was drawn. She was Sonic-y.
She had redesigned, yeah. She was redesigned.
So if we go back to Soliana, let's put it through the Gorihori filter.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Go back to Station Square. Same thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're so polygonal. They're interpretive anyway.
Pretty much, to be fair. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that. Not having realistically proportioned and photorealistic humans would be probably a good thing. Get them stinky humans out of there. You've been asked before what Shatterspace versions of specific characters would be, so how about Zavik? Feel free to include any other miscellaneous Zeddy ideas you come up with, but I didn't want to go, hey, Mr. Sonic Man, come up with 18 characters on the spot. Okay, thanks, bye. Well, you brought it up, so now we have to. No, we don't.
Like, I don't know, in New York, maybe make them like Morlocks. Like the old rumors about alligators in the sewer, but it's them. Monsters lurking beneath the streets, preying on those who are not attentive or try to flee from the oppression up top. In Boskage, rival clan within the forest. I mean, Thornrose was all mad about the other group, over cultivating the forest floor. Have them just be the same thing, just worse. They don't even eat half the stuff. They just mow down the trees because why not? And No Place Ocean, they're pirates. I mean, come on. They're the bad types of pirates, not the type that ask why the rum's gone and are funny and haha. The type that like burn the ship down with the people tied to the mast. The type that pillage your corpse, the evil type of pirates, the bad pirates.
Yep, that makes sense.
They have to keep the Z's in their names, though. So they're the Zorlocks. Or we have Captain Slackbeard.
Oh, jeez. Was that all of them?
Those are the three, like, principal places that they go to.
Okay. As someone who does a decent amount of fan works, I often find myself less interested in creating my own original characters and more interested in fleshing out and reinventing older, lesser known / developed characters. I'm even workshopping a project where I dig out a bunch of obscure public domain characters and rework them into a modern narrative. What are your thoughts on this new creations versus reinventions of old creations dilemma I have? Again, you're known for referencing a lot of old material while also creating a good amount of original stuff, so I figured you have an interesting answer to this.
I think it's perfectly fine as a hobby project and as a means of learning and honing your craft. More so with the fan works that are derived from current media. Mining old public domain stuff that has been sitting on the shelf so long that it's gathered dust, that's a little different. That you can kind of polish up and kind of make it your own. It's almost like foraging for objects in the wild and then crafting it into a piece of art. You're taking what was there and putting your own spin on it to make it something new and fresh, as long as you're respectful of the source material and mindful of where credit is due. You can't just take something from the 1930s and say, this is mine now, because no, somebody else came up with it. You're just putting a new coat of paint on it. I would say that don't turn a blind eye to making something original, though, because as you're working on these other properties and you see what works and what doesn't, what you like, what you don't, and kind of distill from them what it is that works for you and what it is you like so much about them, just do that yourself. It can be as simple as like a name swap at first, and then it grows off in its own direction. I can't count how many projects I've had that have started with, I want to do this with this property, but it needs to be original. So if I change this and this and this, now it's, legally distinct. But because of these changes, that means these assumed elements no longer work. So they need to be reworked so that they make sense for what this new take on it is. And it eventually evolves into its own creation and then sits on my hard drive because I don't have time to do all 20 of these projects.
Don't lose them, Ian. How do you feel knowing that your characterizations of certain less popular characters made people come around on them? I respect the heck out of it, especially some of the alarmingly raw quotes you gave to Zavik, of all characters.
I'm happy if y'all are happy. That's all there is to it.
Well,
I try to be, sincere with all my work. So if it lands for you, I'm glad. And, Zavok at his core is one of my favorite tropes, which is the eloquent monster.
Yeah.
So let me go ham in that direction. There you go.
Yeah. For all the flaws that were the Zeti, I think there's good to be mined in them. Good stuff you could mine to use. And you've done a pretty good job of that. So, and of course, you basically gave characterizations to characters like Beanbark and Fang, so
they were informed a bit by what little source material there was, and they have been adjusted over time to better align with that. But I've had a hand in it, sure.
Don't give yourself enough credit. All right, through some Phantom Ruby / Warp Topaz shenanigans, the adventures of versions of Scratch, Grounder, and Coconuts find their way into the main canon. How would the modern cast of heroes react and feel about them? How would they integrate into the Eggman Empire? And more importantly, how quickly would Eggman go insane trying to figure out how their Looney Tunes-esque logic and abilities work on a scientific / mechanical level?
I mean, they would be loyal subjects from the get-go. Die-hard servants of the Eggman Empire. Coconuts, maybe to a lesser degree, but, he's going to do what he needs to get by. So Eggman's going to be accepting of anyone who, immediately swears fealty, especially since they're going to be, dropping to their knees or treads, in Grounder's case, and kissing his feet, quite literally. Maybe a little much for him, but, good help is so hard to program these days. And the kind of bizarre hammer space within Grounder's arms is okay, how does that work? I'm going to take you apart and figure this out. You'll put me back together, though, right? Maybe. I mean, I think Orbot and Cubot might find themselves a little distressed. What is their job now with all these new lackeys? Oh, wait, they're the ones being sent out into the fields of battle, and they stay behind for clerical work. Great. Lovely arrangement. All for it. Welcome aboard, guys. And Sonic and crew might be a little taken aback by just how outright goofy they are. Like, they haven't tangled with villains of this goofitude. Like, even the hard-boiled heavies, as defined as their characters were, they weren't nearly as slapstick. So there might be a degree of amusement there. It's like, oh, look, they're trying. How cute. And then treat them as like tutorial bosses or early stage confrontations that you build up to get to Eggman.
It's like, man, they're even more jobbery than the jobbers. Rough and tumble? Yeah, no. These guys are on the rung below rough and tumble. You gotten plenty of questions about the Moebius versions of plenty of games, Scourge Generations, Scourge 3 and Knuckles, etc. But now it's time for a real man's question. What would the Moebius versions of Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games story mode be like? I'm specifically talking about the DS version of the game, which had a single-player campaign. That's a lot.
Super familiar with it, but
would it be the evil version of Mario? Would it be the mirror version of Mario then? Or would it just be like the Mario characters are normal, but instead of Sonic, it's Scourge?
I don't know. Like,
I'm trying to think of what would be funnier.
Like, would it be Scourge and Wario at the Winter Olympics,
Yeah. What would be the what would be the anti-version of the Olympics?
Hope and warfare.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's true.
In which case you have something of like a light tactical platformer where you just storm the other dimension. We've got anti-Mario and anti-Luigi just punting rabbits.
Would it be
Scourge knocking down castles on purpose?
Wario and Scourge at World War III.
Like, whoever takes the most territory gets the most medals. Who's awarding the medals? I don't know. Whatever godly being has made these two dimensions cross over. There you go. That's your Olympic spirit. It's some nebulous sky entity made of 5 interlocking colorful rings. Whoever conquers the most land will be bestowed the great medals of valor and power.
Mm-hmm. It's time for Wapeach to make her grand entrance for real.
Boshi just straight up eating people.
Wow. Amazing. Good old Boshi.
Hey, the Super Mario RPG got that glorious remake.
Yep.
Make Boshi canon. Bring back Boshi.
Make Boshi real. Alright, potential Lost Hedgehog Tales territory, but if Archie ever asked you to expand upon the destroyed world Robo-Robotnik Mark II left behind before he became modern Eggman, how would you do it? What random one-off characters from the main continuity would help in the horrific aftermath? Would the NERBs be a crucial faction in rebuilding society?
Bold of you to assume there's anything to rebuild. Like, it's been a bit, but if Robo-Robotnik left anything behind, it would be just rubble. Like, there would be nothing left for him to do with it. He would have scrubbed everything with a pulse off that planet and won completely and utterly. So at most, the story would be his final victory. Establish a cast of heroes to make one last desperate stand to maybe overthrow him. Like, maybe they've got the virus that will scramble his coding, or they've got some kind of metal melting solution and they only have just enough for one direct hit, and just, have one extended bad end story where each one falls along the way, and then whatever they use on Robo-Robotnik falls short or doesn't work like they thought it would, and he just wipes them out. It's like, I'm bored now. Time to time travel.
Well, there you go. How do you view Evil Sonic and Scourge? While they're technically the same character, Scourge, as well as the rest of the Moebius crew, got pretty big overhauls that you played a big part in, while Evil Sonic was a fairly one-note joke character introduced in a vastly different era of the comic. and at a time when I assume you were fairly young. Anyway, I'm curious to know if there's any sort of difference between them in your eyes.
No, they're the same character. It's just different people interpreting the characters in different ways, which could be said for any of the cast over the years under any of the creatives. But yeah, Evil Sonic was a lazy trope that was played for lazy laughs, and we got what we got. And then editor Mike Pellerito was like, there is a cool idea here, an evil Sonic. Do something with this. And Patrick Spaziante gave him that wicked redesign. And I was given my marching orders. He's going to get scarred. He's going to get changed by the Master Emerald and now make him cool. And his name is Scourge now. It's like, okay, I can work with that. And if anything, it's just evil Sonic kind of getting his priorities straight. It's him kind of understanding the meta context to his existence and being enraged by that. He was already hung up with the whole evil and prime counterparts. That was already baked in. This was just taking it to its next logical conclusion. Instead of just having him be, a greasy biker thug, what does it mean if you're an evil version of the protagonist? What does it mean if you know that your very being is defined by juxtaposition with someone else who is more real than you? Those are some big questions. And I asked them, and I followed up on them, and people enjoyed the answers.
Good. I know I did. One of my favorite things about video games to other media adaptations is seeing familiar levels and locations from said games return in a new medium, especially if we get to see what happened to them after the credits for their game's roll. Shout out to Daniel Barnes, Scrapnik Island scratched that itch of mine real good with the ruined Death Egg Carrier, and the Scrapniks. So I'm asking, what are your favorite uses of game locations in any of the comics or shows? Could be from any of your runs on the comics or someone else's work.
I did really like us going back to, was it Casinopolis out of Heroes with Bingo Highway and all that?
That is, I don't know if it was called Casinopolis.
What was the first stage called?
Bingo Highway and, what was the first stage called? Casino Park. There we go.
Casino Park. Okay, Casino Park. Yeah, Casinopolis is the
Sonic Adventure
over in Station Square.
Yeah.
Taking that and realizing it fully, because you can see in certain angles the whole city is shaped like a giant roulette wheel. It's such a neat setting, and to treat it as a functioning location, a mega Vegas, that was neat.
Yeah, that's always cool.
Not necessarily in other media, but something that the feeling that I would love to recapture with anything like that is like with the egg carrier stage after it crashes in the ocean, and the fact that you're able to explore the base after the fact.
Yeah.
Is just really cool. This is the evil base that you were climbing on as it was flying through the sky, and now it's here. You're free to explore it again. That's just neat.
The way they integrated like Labyrinth Zone and the like the Master Emeralds and the Hidden Palace kind of elements all together in movie 2 was, I think, pretty cool.
Seeing a more modern Passed Angel Island and Sky Sanctuary in the Knuckles animation was a thrill.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So pretty.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Sky Sanctuary come back in 3D before, but
yeah, but not quite.
It's not quite like, not like that. No.
If anything, I'd kind of like to see some of the comic exclusive places get a game counterpart, like go see Floral Forest or actually run around Spiral Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Actually look at those in a game context. That would be kind of neat.
Put Green Hills, Montana in there. Why not? Or Green Hills, Nebraska from the original Sonic Bible. Why not? Put them all in there, Ian. Make it all real. Make Montana real, Ian. And the last question from the Phantomist. I know you feel less than positive about your fan comics from back in the day, but in my opinion, it's kind of humanizing. How one of the most recognizable Sonic comic / game writers didn't start out as this mighty being born high above the rest of us plebeians, but just as another fan on the internet expressing their passion. And besides, who doesn't cringe at their old creative works? I bring this up to ask you, what were some of your favorite humanizing moments of creatives you looked up to? Moments that help you realize that the people you looked up to were, well, people, and good ones at that.
Just meeting so many of the creatives at conventions and whatnot.
Mm.
Just how normal they all are, despite having tremendous talent. How humble so many of them are as well. Like, you cannot pay Tracy Yardley a compliment. Like, the man is phenomenal. He's like, I'm all right. This looks kind of like crap. It's like, dude, stop it. You're great.
Shut up.
Like, it was thrilling to meet Patrick Spaziante, a hero of mine. And to find him to be just so soft-spoken and chill and nice was lovely. And sitting next to him and watch him draw was surreal. It was like watching a printer in action. Like, how do you lay down lines that clean? Just straight, like no sketch work. Just there's Sonic and Mega Man shaking hands. How do you do that, man? This isn't very good. Shut up. But yeah, we're all people. We're all artists in some degree or another. We all suffer from self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Some hide it better. Some of us hide it better than others. And very, very, very few put themselves up on a pedestal and believe their own hype. Like, I can barely think of more than a couple. It's just, we're just happy to be able to do something that we enjoy. That's with something that we love. That is, a creative outlet. And sure, we can kvetch about the revisions we have to make or notes that we don't agree with. But at the end of the day, we're working on Sonic, fairly regularly. That's a wonderful blessing. And I think we're all kind of aware of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone I've met and talked to, it's been real cool. It's been real nice. Except you, Ian, you jerk. Kidding.
Well, I mean, I suckered you into this gig and now you can't get out.
Good.
You gotta like me. Good. At least on air.
Good. No, man. No. Nope. I'm glad to be here, and everyone I've met in person and online has been like super cool, super nice, super fun to talk to. So it has been wonderful to be part of this whole freaking thing, man. Just in a even just like tangentially related, just meeting people through you. And the people who are all people who've all joined us as well to hang out with us, to listen to us, and everyone who listens to the show. You guys are pretty cool. And that's it. That's all we got.
That's a good note to end on. Thanks to the Phantomists for sponsoring this BumbleKast Mini. If you want one of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
Take care, everybody.